نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, this world that we see, this world that we interact with, it is temporary. And that is a fact. And that is something that is mentioned page after page in the Quran, hadith after hadith from the sunnah of Nabiyyina Mohammed sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this is something that the Quraysh used to make fun of. This is something the Quraysh, when they were faced with this haqiqah, with this reality, they would mock it. And they would say, نَمُوتُ وَنَحْيَا وَمَا يُهْنِكُنَا إِلَّا الدَّهْرُ. We live, we die, nothing kills us, nothing destroys us except time. That's it. We are here for a small moment and then we're gone, and that is it. Not dissimilar in any way to the new atheistic movement, and they're like. And today, in this day and age, we have the statement, you only live once. Just do it. You're here for a short time, enjoy your life, because you won't have another one. And little do we know that we've copied and pasted the statement of kufr, of disbelief. We've literally taken the statement of the mushrikun, of the polytheists, of the pagan Arabs, and we applied it to our life now. You only live once. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. We live, we die, and nothing destroys us except time. And so this khutbah serves as a reminder for us, inshaAllah ta'ala, of the temporary nature of this life in comparison to the everlasting, the hereafter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who are su'ada, those who are happy with eternal happiness in Jannah. Allahumma ameen. Think of the last verse that was revealed to Nabiyyina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah Jalla wa ala says, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. And fear the day that you will return to Allah. This was the last verse revealed in the Quran. And fear Allah, fear the last day in which you will be returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everyone will be recompensed for that which they do. Look at ourselves, brothers and sisters. Many of us have passed our mid-20s, our 30s, some of us our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, our 70s even. Look at your life that you lived. What is it except fleeting, literally, wallah, it's fleeting memories. It's literally a few memories that you have, some good, some bad, some bitter, some sweet, and that's it. That's how temporary this life is. That's how quick it will be. And that's why in Jannah we will look over our life, we look over our early teens, our childhood even. Some of us will have memories whilst we were 7, 8, maybe before that. What is it? It's nothing but fleeting memories. And this, wallahi, is the summary. This is the summary of the life that we live. It is absolutely temporary. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in one of the most powerful verses in the Quran, He addresses this. He addresses this fact that we know within ourselves. He says, اعلموا, know with certainty. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب. He says, know with certainty that al-hayat al-dunya, the lowest of lives, literally, the lowest of lives, which is the life we are living now, it is play. It is play, meaning we work, we play, we have enjoyment with our family, etc., etc. And that's okay, alhamdulillah, brothers, that's okay. It's within the boundaries of the halal And so it's khair, inshallah. There's no ishkal with this. But then he continues, Jalla wa ala, and he says, اعلموا إنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو. After la'ib, after being play, it becomes lahu, amusement. Lahu has no benefit whatsoever. So number one, it is play. Number two, it is amusement. And number three, wazina. It's outwardly beautiful. Outwardly beautiful. So the implicit meaning is that the dunya in and of itself, internally, it is something disgusting. But outwardly, it's beautiful. Then he continues, وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ. And it serves as a means for one another to compete with one another, to boast with one another, out of pride. And he continues by saying, وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. And it serves as a means, this life serves as a means to gather, and to compete in this gathering. So literally the first is quality, and this is quantity. We gather, whether it is wealth, whether it is children and offspring and progeny, or houses or cars or followers even now. Whatever the case may be, we are competing in this gathering with one another. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us the example of what this dunya actually is. كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ, He says. He says it is literally like the example of rainfall. Rainfall. أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُهُ. Rainfall that on the first glance it pleases the eye. It pleases the eye. It causes vegetation to sprout forth from the earth. كَمَثِلِ غَيْجِ أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُهُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ. But then after this, what happens? The greenages grow. It is pleasing to us, but then it begins to dry. It begins to dry and to die and to perish. ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَكُونُ حُطَامًا. Then it starts to turn yellow, and then eventually it becomes nothing except hay, and except something wasteful. This is the example of the dunya. At first glance it is pleasing, but the reality of it is that it is temporary, and it will go, and it will leave you there standing, wondering what have you sacrificed everything for something temporary. Imagine a person who spent his whole life with a bucket. Literally, he has a bucket outside and he's running around, he's trying to get the rain. When it rains, he's there, he's sacrificing everything, he's lying, he's backbiting, he's stealing, he's robbing, he's leaving Allah, he's forgetting about his religion, he sacrifices his thawab, his principles, everything for that rainwater. He gets the rainwater, he plants something with it and he grows, and he's just there happy. And for him, that's it. He's retired early. What would we think of this person? We think that this person is clinically insane. I'll answer it for you. We would think that this person is clinically insane. So how is it different from what we are doing now? How is it different from what Allah Jalla wa Ala describes it? تَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ. Proudly boasting. تَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. Gathering wealth, gathering children, competing in this. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, describing the one who has utmost servitude, the one who is a slave to the dunya. He says, تَعِسَ عَبْدُ الدِّنَارِ تَعِسَ عَبْدُ الدِّرْهَمِ تَعِسَ عَبْدُ الْخَمِيلَ تَعِسَ عَبْدُ الْخَمِيصَ. He says, the word ta'isa, brothers and sisters, in Arabic it means literally halak, to be destroyed. He says, destroyed is the slave of the dirham and the dinar. Destroyed is the slave of gold and silver. Destroyed is the slave of good fine clothing. Destroyed. And he described him as an abd, a slave to it. He is a slave to it. That is his religion. That is his deen. Destroyed is this person. إِذَا أُعْطِيَ رَضِي وَإِذَا لَمْ يُعْطَى سَخِطْ. And he describes him like a child. He says when he's given, he's happy. But when he's not given, he's upset, he's angry. And this is the description of the munafiqun. Allah Jalla wa Ala described in Surah Tawbah. Allah Jalla wa Ala describes that when they are given from the sadaqah, they are happy. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَلْمِزُكَ فِي الصَّدَقَاتِ فَإِنْ أُعْطُوا رَضُوا وَإِنْ لَمْ يُعْطَ إِذَا هُمْ يَسْخَطُونَ. But when they are not given, they are angry with you. He then says, تَعِسَ وَانْتَكَسْ. He describes this person saying, may he be cursed. Literally, تَعِسَ وَانْتَكَسْ. It's like a curse upon a curse. وَإِذَا شِيكَ فَلَنْ تَقَشْ. And even if he's pricked by a thorn, may he not be alleviated from the distress that he finds from this. Why? Because he has no religion, he has no spirituality. He has no standing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not have Allah Jalla wa ala in his life. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam once walked past a dead carcass. And this carcass was not only dead, but it had a deformity in its hair. And he asked the Sahaba, which of you would like to have this carcass? And they said, Ya Rasulullah, even if it was alive, we wouldn't want it, because it has a deformity. So imagine if it's like this. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Wallah, la dunya ahwanu inda Allahi min hadi. He said, by Allah, the dunya is more despicable in the sight of Allah. It is more worthless in the sight of Allah Jalla wa ala than this carcass that you have in front of you. And the amazing thing about this dunya, brothers and sisters, is that Allah Jalla wa ala is fair. Allah is just between the believer and the disbeliever. Whoever seeks this dunya will be granted it. من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينة نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها. Allah says, whoever seeks and wants the life of this world, we will give him his deeds. He will be granted it. He will not be wronged. You work for it, you will get it. You can see this is the sunnah of Allah and His creation. If you want this dunya, you will be given it. But He then says, جل وعلا, ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيه مشكورا. But He says, whoever wants the Akhirah and whoever strives for it, then He says this person, their end goal will be mashkuran. They would be held in gratitude. They would be rewarded. كُلًّا نُمِدُّ هَؤُلَاءِ وَهَؤُلَاءِ. Everyone, the one who is Muslim, the one who is not Muslim, they strive for this dunya, they will be granted it. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ أَكْبَرُ دَرَجَاتٍ وَأَكْبَرُ تَفْضِيلًا. But He says the Akhirah, this is where the true distinction lies. This is where the true distinction lies. This is where you can see the difference in levels, that there's actually levels. You can see the distinction in the Akhirah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never prohibit His generosity. And I conclude the first khutbah by Allah Jalla wa ala summarizing this life. He says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهْوَ وَلَعِبٍ. He says that this life is nothing but amusement, enjoyment and play, as we've discussed. وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانُ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. But He says, but the life of the Akhirah, the hereafter, لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانُ. We think hayawan means animal? No. Hayawan here means the true life. But the life of the hereafter is the true life. If only they knew, if only we knew, brothers and sisters, that the life to come is the true life. We ask Allah Jalla wa ala to grant us the best of both lives. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم سائر المسلمين كلهم فاستغفروه إنه كان غفارا. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أما بعد. What are the consequences? What are the consequences? What are the symptoms of loving this dunya? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions in the hadith of Thawban, he says, يوشك أن تداعى عليكم الأمم. Yushak literally means there will come a time that the the nations will gather around. كما تداعى الأكلة لقصعتها. Just as people come around, it's something to eat, a feast, a plate to eat food. The nations will soon come around and pick you apart, just as they pick apart food. And the Sahaba, upon hearing this, said, وَمِنْ قِلَّةٍ نَحْنِ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Is it because we will be small in number on that day, O Messenger of Allah? Because you have to understand who's saying this. Who is saying? They are the Sahaba. They are the people of Badr. They are the people who have beaten armies far greater than them in number by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how could it be, after all of their sacrifice, after them seeing the victory in front of them, after them hearing the prophecies that Islam would spread to the east and to the west, how could it be that the nations of this world would gather around and pick us apart? They could not understand it. But look at 1914, brothers and sisters. The Sykes-Picot Agreement. The British, Americans, France, Germans, Russians, everyone gathered together and carved up the Muslim lands. You take this, I take this, we take this, he takes this. as if it was nothing. And us Muslims in that time, we were still believing in the promise, not of Allah, but the promise of the British. And we believed that the British would grant us our lands, and that we will be safe and in security and content. Whilst it was happening, 10 years later, the Khilafah Uthmaniyya was destroyed and dismantled, and we are where we are today. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, no, on that day you will not be few in number. بل أنتم كثير, rather you will be great in number. ولكنكم غثاء كغثاء السيل, but rather you would be like literally the scum of the ocean. You know the scum that floats around on the top of the ocean? You will literally be like this, worthless, powerless to do anything. And then he describes the symptom for this. وَلِيَنْزَعَنَّ اللَّهُ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would take from the hearts of your enemies, they would take away al-mahabata minkum, literally fear from you. And this is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a man sallallahu alayhi wa sallam who was granted victory. His enemies had fear. Literally they would have fear within their hearts that the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that he would appear at a land and they would flee from the land. Look at the battle of Tabuk. Brothers and sisters, the battle of Tabuk was not a battle. The battle did not happen, that's the story. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to the borders of Rome, they fled. They fled from their borders, they fled from their lands. Even the Arab Ghassanian tribe, they fled as well, because of the fear that Allah Jalla wa Ala placed in their hearts. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues, وَلَيَغْفِرْنَ اللَّهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمُ الْوَهَنِ. And this is the problem. He said that Allah will throw in your hearts al-wahan. So He will take fear from the hearts of the enemies of Islam, out of their hearts. But in your hearts, He would put wahan. What is wahan, they asked. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا وَكَرَاهِيَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Love of this world and hatred of death. Love of this world and hatred of death. Brothers and sisters, until we put Allah first in our lives, until we stop being selfish with what Allah wants over what we want, then we will not see victory, brothers and sisters. And it doesn't mean that you are responsible for what happens in the world. No, I'm not saying this. But you are first and foremost responsible for yourselves. And then you are first and foremost responsible after this to your family, to your children, to your spouses, to your household, to your sphere of influence. Put Allah first in this, and then bi'idhnillah we would see victory. And we know that Allah subhanahu Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever places this dunya, man ja'ala dunya hammahu, whoever places this dunya his be-all and end-all, and he makes it his focus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not grant him this dunya. He would place poverty in front of him. Some of the scholars of hadith say, meaning either literally he would be in poverty, or he would literally be thinking about poverty. You know, people that are wealthy, they are constantly thinking about how they're going to lose this money, how they can protect their investments, so on and so forth. So even though they have wealth, they won't be able to enjoy it. وَفَرَّقَ شَمْلَهُ. And his whole affair would be like this. And everything he tries to do would not be easy. Nothing would work for him. Nothing would go through for him. But on the other hand, whoever places his be-all and end-all, his very essence, his aim for the Akhirah, Allah Jalla wa Ala will place richness in his heart. He may not have much, but it will have barakah in it. He may not have much, but wallahi he will be happy, happiness that he will not find even if he was a multi-millionaire. And Allah will gather his affair for him, and then he concludes, وَأَتَتْهُ الدُّنْيَا وَهِيَ رَاغِمَةٌ. And the dunya will come to him submissively, meekly. I don't know if you want it, but the dunya will come to him. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us of this state. اللهم إن داع فأمنه. اللهم لا تجعل ذنبا في مقامنا هذا إلا غفرته، ولا هم إلا فرجته، ولا كرب إلا كشفته، ولا عسيرا إلا يسرته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا حاجة إلا قضيتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين وانصر إخواننا الموحدين في كل مكان. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبد الله ورسول نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.